Was it tempting to try to tell your running story in poetic form, or did you know it would have to be a memoir?
So when I was writing poetry, I was still very much locked in that sedentary lifestyle. That journalism certainly didn't help, where you're sitting all day in front of a computer, talking on the phone, sometimes for 6 or 8 hours at a stretch without even standing up, and eating at your desk and eating in the car. But there was all these references in my own poetry to running, to this weird kind of dreamlike freedom of running and moving through the wilderness. But I was writing this stuff at a time when my whole life revolved around not running. Yet my poetry was filled with all these images of those things. Lots of animals that run too, like deer. There's lots of deer for some reason in certain poems, and people chasing me in certain poems. So looking back, I think somewhere inside there was that running shaped hole that was there that I needed to fill. It hadn't been filled yet.
You say, when I'm running, I'm somewhere else interiorly. You also mentioned the concept of a place within the self. Could you expand on how those ideas affect your writing?
I can't run on treadmills. I can't run on tracks. One of the things that running does for me is there's almost like a hypnotic rhythm of things passing by in my periphery. And I realize that on certain days, not every run, but certain runs, and I can tell you that the run I had this morning was one of them, you enter that phase where you aren't thinking of anything. You're not worried. You're not scheduling things in your head of like, oh, I got to do this today, then I got to do that. When I return from a run, it's not that I have a whole bunch of ideas or a whole bunch of things to say, or a whole bunch of problems worked out. But what I have done is, and this is where I say, like, it's kind of like I've kind of entered that running shaped hole. I've kind of found it. It's like it's out there, and I have to like go search for it, like a portal. And you almost like go through it, and you're in it, and you exist there for a time as like it's like a different place.
What do you most hope that readers will take away from this book, from Running Shaped Hole?
I was very conscious of making sure it was never going to be marketed as a sports book. It's not, and it's not a how-to book about running. So I want people to be able to read it and just find it a compelling, funny, but also moving story. You don't have to be a runner. You don't even have to want to run. There are days when I don't want to run, and I run basically every other day, but not every day is a delight. There's days when it's a struggle to even get out the door. And mostly the struggle isn't physical. The struggle is in the head.
You lived in Montreal for a time, but came back home, mainly for love, it seems. What impact does your connection to life in Windsor, Essex County have on your poetry and your prose?
There's a vibrancy here, but it's a strange one. It's not like Toronto. It's not like Montreal. It's not like Vancouver. In my opinion, it's more like Detroit, or it's more like Buffalo, New York, or even parts of New York City, like Queens. Or Cleveland is another city I would compare it to. There's a rougher edge. And in my opinion, we're a little more real. People from Windsor know, I think, what we have. And if you don't know that, I think you should get out there and explore it and figure it out, because it's, I never want to leave here.